Multimania.
What is up?
What up, buddy?
See here.
What is happening? There he is, man, myth, legend, Coach Paul.
Right on, right on.
What's happening? My screen is not pulling up for some reason. I don't know why. What is it? We're talking about setups today, I think, right?
Setups.
I like it.
We're gonna go.
How was your week? Do you
It's
learn
good.
anything? Learn anything new this week? Welcome everybody who wants to listen into Revenge of the Ticks.
How do I turn
Revenge
this
of the
volume
Ticks.
down?
I love that. That's a good name, right, guys?
It is.
Revenge of the Ticks. This is the big thing. I'm gonna do this long term with you, Rusty, and Paul. Paul hates being on camera though. He hates it. It doesn't bother me. And by the way, should I put the curtain behind me? I just
Yeah,
like the
face
water.
for
It's
radio.
nice out. Nice little breeze.
No, you're good. It's
Breeze.
not washing you out or anything. So
Good. All right. What say you, Paul? What say you?
I say today was an interesting day.
Oh man, I can barely hear you.
very.
You guys can hear me?
I can hear you better now. Yeah. there
Okay,
you go.
now, yeah,
I'll get closer. I don't have a,
Yeah.
I don't have a mic on this camera. So.
I had a dream last night, Paul. For real, this is a real dream I had. I had a dream last night that me and you were doing a presentation somewhere, and you were setting up your Yeti mic. It was like we were doing like another boot camp. I had a dream that was happening. So it's true. That's what happened. Paul got me hooked on the Yeti mics.
Yeah, they're
Yeti
nice.
mic's a good mic.
Yeti's good, but it's sensitive. Well, pick up
Yeah,
the neighbors three houses down.
Yeah, you can hear them fighting in the bedroom.
You can hear them yelling at each other.
All right. We got off track a little bit. So we have myself, Coach Brian, Coach Paul, Mullet Mania, Rusty Willock with us. We're talking about setups today. But first, I want to ask Rusty a question. Mullet Mania,
Mhm.
any aha moments this week? Anything, kind of get you looking a different way, learning something new? What happened with you this week?
Yeah. There's quite a few things. That's why I wanted to talk about setups. Is I I really focus on when we're doing these setups. We have the larger pictures, what I'll call it, the W's, the M's, the ABCs, that kind of thing. What I'd really like to focus on is today is the calling that is done during our live session in the morning. Um, for example, if you go to the NQ um, on the 292 tick time frame, right at the let me make sure I choose this level correctly. Um, right at the what is that? Like the 942 mark.
Eastern, right?
Eastern. Yep.
Always.
Yep. I
Always.
changed all my stuff to Eastern.
Oh, the magic long.
Coach Paul called that.
Magic long.
And he says, I see it setting up, right? This is where I struggle. This is where I automatically switch to a sim account because even though you see it, you guys call it, I see it setting up. What's for me is I look back and when I start like trading afternoon is I start to see these setups. I start to see it happening. But when it's so fast, and if I remember right, because I put a circle on this, Coach Paul started, calling this, it happened around the, 942,
Mm-hmm.
at 940, 41. He's like, I see the setup. What is that? Let's pinpoint. What did you see, Coach Paul? What was the turning point? What was it? Because the biggest thing I want with this is it was mentioned today. It was like with the coaching is you have these overall setups. We all know the base hits get us places, right? And we all want that home run setup like you had on the ES day. What that end up 150 some points, 170 points, something
Yes,
crazy.
I
Yeah.
think it was like
We all want that, right? In the end, but getting us there are these base hits. And But my thing is, I come back to the base hit analogy in baseball and go, yeah, but I had to practice, you know, with the pitching machine a million times to get there. So this is what I'm kind of focusing on now. What did you see when you say the setup? Candle, stochastics, of course, candlestick patterns is a big one, right? Maybe where it was at, bounced off the money line. What Run us through your thought process during that setup right there,
Okay. You want me to share my chart, or what do you want me to do?
please.
Oh yeah, you could. There you go.
All right, let me set it up for you guys here. I'm trying to find my Epic pin. For
I'll
some
pull
reason,
mine.
it's not coming up. Give me a second. Give me a second.
There we go.
Epic. Epic. Where's Epic?
Huh.
Come on, people.
When are you gonna be on camera with us, Rusty?
Next podcast.
Next podcast. All right, buddy.
All right. Somebody walk me through on how to share this here.
It should let you share, right?
Should be able to just click the little window with the plus icon in the bottom of your.
Windows with plus
Bird
icon.
says so.
Share screen.
And then
Bird
show
says
your
so.
screen. If you have multiple
It
screens,
should be right next to your camera option.
Yep.
Whoa, man, this is up. It's
Entire
really
screen.
getting tempting. Look at the long
You guys
again
tell me
on the
if you see it.
MQ trade.
No, we're not seeing it yet, Paul.
Getting
there we
tempting.
go. It's
You
getting,
see it?
there you go. Now we can.
All right.
Oh, what do you think on the MQ trade? Do it? Don't do it on the long.
Right now. Where we at here? Oh, let me go up to the front here and I'll tell you. No, not yet.
No? Okay. All right.
No,
I'll ask you again.
Let it come down to that, right? I mean, let it come. No, I don't like it, Brian.
Okay.
At this point, because you're getting this cross, I'd let it come back to 89. I'd
Yes,
hold
sir,
off.
boss.
Paul's charts are just amazing. Like it's all like green and
Where we say that? 9 what? 9?
943.
What color?
His charts are very
42.
eye-appeasing.
It is.
Well,
It
if,
is.
if I got to look at them all day, I like to at least be. I don't want to be all wired out of wired for because I've been.
And I think you're correct. I think that, I'm going to start setting my charts a little bit like that because I think the bright green and red and all the brightness just kind of makes me amp up a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little easier to stomach.
It is
All
right there.
so,
42, 942.
Yeah, so we're
See
talking
right
about,
there as it bounces off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so just let me walk you back because what do we always say, right? We look left to trade right.
Left. Yep.
Yeah. So why did I say I was going to take this trade? Because
You look back and seen them 900 times.
well, yeah, all morning. This was a heavy level, right?
Right.
And I even think Brian said above this he was interested in longs. Okay. So I kind of had that in my head and I was letting it play out, do its little thing. It dropped. We had this big drop. And then once we had this big volatility move and it came right up through it, came back and retested it and didn't quite make a higher high, but once we broke up past this level here, at that point, I was telling myself, okay, we got a cross of the HMAs. So I told myself the first pullback to this HMA, I would be interested in a long. It also happened to line up with what? The 77, right?
Right.
So that was and we had oversold stochastics. Okay. Momentum was up. I mean, it was just a check. Everything was just lining up. So when we were here at the top of this, that's when I told you guys. I said, look, if this pulls back, here, getting a little crowded. When we were here, all right, I said, if it pulls back to the 89, the money line, it should be right around that 77. That's a win-win for me. If we get an overbought stochastics, I was going to take that trade. And
Right.
well, so I took it literally right here and rode it all the way up to there.
Right.
It's very trade.
So I'm going to walk you back through this like I'm a 2-year-old, right? So I'm going to explain it. For us the newer guys, you looked back at the 927, 920 to 930 range, right? You've seen it had bounced off of there. When it come back down and broke through that resistance and started to turn into support, right? That was
Right.
that was number one key.
It couldn't
And with
break
Coach
this.
Brian, right? That
Yeah.
turned that into support. It was resistance at 930, 919. Now it's become support. And Coach Brian actually confirmed that with saying if it stays above this, we look for longs, right?
Sure
Right.
did.
Then you followed your setup. So you had that break in structure at 938, around the 938 where it went above that W there that bounced twice, the double bottoms off of that resistance there, right? Or that support. Then you're kind of just watching the market at that point. It bounces off the 50, and then that's where you say, if this comes back down, that is a perfect setup. Stochastics are high, they come down, it bounces off the 89, and so really this is a 99% setup for
A
you, right?
plus.
A
A
plus
plus.
setup for
Yeah.
that
You know,
for
we
that
call it unicorn in the room, right? But it's A
unicorn.
plus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
again,
if it were a little W, then that'd probably be a unicorn
I
trade.
mean,
But it's got all the
yeah,
factors.
I don't even know that I
So
would wait for it. I mean, in a market like today, I think waiting for a W, you might be late to the game, right?
I'd have to agree
Yeah.
with that. So zoom in right there, Coach Paul, right on that where that trade hit that 77,
Well,
please.
can I mention
And then
something?
hold on a second, please. So clarify, Coach Brian, the unicorn W.
Oh, it's not. There's not one in that trade.
You didn't get it.
I know, but clarify what you would
Oh,
have seen.
maybe two more candles that stop at that same price around.
So he would have wanted to
So
see something like this.
Like
okay, a pop up. Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
just a
exactly what I mean.
little W, whether it was perfect like Coach Paul kind of did there, or wonky, just anything to show that the Bulls were going to hold it up at that area,
Right.
right?
But
Okay.
Yeah.
So
what did I say? I said between this and
between, yep,
77.
yep,
That was
same
my
thing, right? I mean, except for if it had that one drop. So
yeah.
go ahead,
So
Coach Paul. Sorry.
so again, like I said, you got the cross of the HMA right here, which is I've always said is a high probability of that first pullback.
Cross of the EMA, you mean?
Right. And we were staying above that level, like you said. We were looking for longs. Our bias was long. We
Right.
got definitely, we got the moving averages are separating, higher momentum. The momentum is starting to get stronger. Everything is screaming long. All I need now is where do I get in? I can't get in here. I could have got in here, but I don't think that was enough of a test. I wanted it to make sure it didn't break this level, right? But when we got all the way back up to where? What did I say it was doing all day long today? It was bouncing between these numbers, right? Between the 50. Where's the 50 here? Somewhere around here. The 50. It was literally bouncing between these areas all day long. So what? It comes up here to the 850, pulls back right into where? The money line and the 77. Perfect. I mean, it's a perfect trade. I can't. It's all I'm doing is following the rules. That's it. I mean, I said it earlier today. I said it to Brian, right? I'm just taking the trade because it falls in my trade plan. It's the rules. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. Okay. But I know that if I follow the rules, I will be right more than I am wrong. Literally that simple. I wish there was something more, but that's it. I mean, it's literally that simple.
Right. It is simple, right? But it's not easy. So when you got a market the way it is today, right?
Today was a tough market.
It was crazy, and the speed. That's why I switched to a sim account. Is you see it when one of you when you activate that trade right there. Are you going in as a buy market? Do you set a stop limit or buy limit at that price depending on what's going to go? How do you enter that? Seeing that setup
Market
at that time,
or limit order.
market or limit order.
I'm assuming Paul uses a market order.
Well, I mean, if I'm expecting it, a lot of times I'll have a limit just sitting there waiting.
Okay,
Right
okay. Or not a stop order. You're not letting it go through with a stop order.
Well, I was just about to say that. Now, if I'm expecting it to bounce, like on a typical, okay, that's a great question. when do I go a stop order versus a limit order?
Yeah.
For me, it all depends on the volatility. It all depends on the ATR. Okay. If we have a high ATR, if these swings are really bouncing past these levels, right? And I know that this thing could overshoot, then I'm going to do a stop. I'm going to that's what I say in the room, right? Let it come back through. I'll let this break down through here, break below, close below this level, and then I'll sit there and wait to see if it keeps going or if it comes back up through. And then I'll have a buy stop waiting right there because of the volatility. Now, on a typical day where it's not so volatile and I'm just following my rules are 77 long off of money line, I'll have a limit order waiting right here.
Okay.
Or in this case, I trade. I'll tell you exactly what I did in this trade. And again, these are the things that nothing that I say is set in stone. You have to kind of figure out what works best for you. You know, some people are quick to get in. Some people have difficulty getting in trades. Some people don't, they hesitate. For me, the way I traded this is I typically trade 2 contracts. Okay. And typically I would have had 2 contracts waiting right here. My first contract's off at 28 ticks, 7 points. Okay. But what I did was, since I had said, and I remember you guys, I said anywhere between this money line and this 77, that area, this is an area for me. I literally had a limit order waiting at the money line, and then I had one at the 77. So I split up my 2 contracts. So it came through, took me here in case it bounced here, because a lot of times, it'll bounce off the money line, and then came down here, put me in my second trade, and well, the rest is history. And that was a split second decision on my part. But typically I would just put the 2 contracts in somewhere and just let it ride.
Okay. And I think one of the things is being that I get from a lot of it that I learned this week, is being confident in that trade, right? And it's one of them things where I've always got out too early, or I've always not confident in it. And it's one of the big things that, as a newer trader, a lot of us need to know is how the coaches, how the people are, constantly making that money, they do this, right? Because that's why you have, when you go back to the base hit baseball analogies, is you have the overall coach, right? But you also have the base running coach and the batting coach and all that. So this is that part where it's okay, how do you enter these trades? Because some of us don't even know where to start, right? It's so new that it's we put an order in and it, and it just goes whatever. So this makes sense to where you split your 2 orders in this situation because you saw the call for it. But having 2 orders right on the 77, it's not a bad deal either.
That would have been a win trade.
That's a winning, right?
Yeah. And I would say that for most people starting out,
yep,
just look, it's really the first thing you have to have is confidence in your setups, in your entries, right? That's why Brian and I always preach master 1, maybe 2 entries, literally. I mean, you don't need more than that. And then get really good at those entries, really, really good at those entries. And splitting orders and doing that stuff like that, that's stuff that can come later when you have a lot of confidence in your, in your methodology.
Right.
But at first, when you're just practicing getting into, understand that what we preach at Liberty, the stuff we teach, this is stuff that's proven. We have proven it for years upon years upon years of stuff, everything, our 9 ticks, all our entries, all the stuff that's in the videos and in the member. This stuff is proven to work. Does it work every time? No, of course not. Nothing works every time. But it works. It has a high win rate. And then once you start learning to read the price action and understand, okay, the market is doing this based off of this is a good entry. Once you start doing that, that gives you a lot of confidence. Why do I have confidence in my entries? Because I practiced them 6 million times, literally. I still do it today. I still practice on the weekends. I'm still looking at this market. Every day I go back and scroll. I think Brian was saying that earlier. I just scroll back through the market and play it out and see how it did. If you notice how quick I was to point out that, man, these levels are really working today, because I've seen this pattern so many times. And then it's like I rely on stochastics. I rely on the separation between these moving averages. This tells me a lot. This and this doesn't tell me that this is going to reverse right here. So
Right.
I'm pretty confident. Now, could I be wrong? Yeah, I could. Anything can happen. But I know that higher probability is if I get in this trade here, because why? It's my rules to take it off of here, coming from here. That's my rule. If I take this trade, what do I want to do? The only thing I want to do is get that first target off. Because once I get that first target off, I just move my stop up 7 points and I leave it there behind my entry. I don't even, actually, that's too high. So behind my entry, somewhere around here. And I just leave it there. I don't really care at that point what it does. I could care less. If it comes back and gets me, okay. Scalped out. What do we call it? Cup of coffee, something like that. We bought a cup of coffee. That's it. But if it does this, hello.
That's a
And
bonus.
then it's just like Brian preaches, right? Then it's just waiting for these breaks of indecision, break structure. Once you see this break here, move your stop up here. Once you see this break here, move your stop up here. Once you see this break here, move it here, and so on, right up the ladder. That's it.
Right.
I mean,
That's how you
So
turn
here-
that into a $2,000 trade. Easy.
that's how you turn. Yeah, that's how you turn a $50 profit. And I see it so much with the people I coach. Right? You guys get in a trade and you are so quick to kill it as soon as you get that green P&L. It's like, oh, it's up $100. It's up $200. And I gotta tighten my stop. Then it comes back and you're out with $100 profit. And then the trade runs $2,000.
Right. And I think one of the key points of what was just said here is we switch the psychological part of it, right? Like you said, get one or two setups, and for the new folks, you can find those on the website. There's tons of videos there on multiple different setups. Pick one, and this isn't something that, as great as Coach Brian and Coach Paul are, this isn't something that they just made up, right? You go back to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee said one time, he said, I don't fear the man that practices 10,000 kicks one time. I fear the man who practices one kick 10,000 times, right?
Yeah.
Because he's dead on with it every time, right?
How many times have you heard me say that, Paul?
Have you?
But that's so right.
It's one of my favorite quotes because it's
I say it all the time.
in life, right? In life and everything, right? If you
Well,
want to better
that's
yourself
great
one thing a day, to better yourself every day, pick one thing you're going to focus on. Whether it's
And-
be a
and
little
I-
kinder, a little bit gentler, or a little bit stronger if you're a weak type person, and you need to stand up for something. I mean, right? I mean,
That's
there's
right.
times you got to stand up for yourself, and
There are times. It's true. You're
it's
right.
true. It's
But-
true.
But there's also one other factor too that gives me the confidence. Okay, and this is probably the biggest thing, and that's risk. Why am I so confident? Why am I okay with taking these trades and not panicking in these trades? Because I have such a strict risk rule, right? I don't risk more than the 20% in that account. And what does that mean? That means is that some days I hit it, some days I lose that money, but as long as I'm not risking a lot of money, I don't ever put myself in a position to be worried. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna have bad days. Yeah, we take a lot. You saw us take one the other day. Both Brian and I took some losses, but
Yeah.
but it's a combination of everything. It's having the proper risk, having mastered the proper entries, and then just knowing that just rinse and repeat, and having the discipline to not do anything other than that. That's the problem. Problem is you practice. You get in a trade here. This trade goes against you, and you lose money. And all of a sudden, now you're like, well, it came down here. Let me put in 3 or 4 more contracts to get that red back. Well, that's not in your plan. And then it keeps doing this. Now you got to put more contracts. And next thing you know, you got a blown account.
Well,
Right.
and the other thing, let me add one to Paul's confidence in these trades. And by the way, I do want to note that your second great trade call of the day was the 1031 long as well.
Yes, I have that one circled
Took it on
too.
the ES. Took it from 33 to 58. I just looked it up. From 33
Wow.
to 58. That's not a bad trade. That's silly. So 20. What is that? 25 points. So it's a decent trade. But that was we're talking about the same thing. I think if Paul were to look at that trade, it's the exact same premise.
What are we talking about? ES or
The NQ call at 10:31, the long. I was like, okay, we taking this long, and he said, yep. I was like, okay. I
10:31?
jumped in. You called my super trade today.
Yeah, I mean it's the same exact same
premise, right?
I mean I can see that with just looking at it. It's the same exact same look. Guys, where's our 77 here, right?
It's funny how it's the exact same, like almost the exact same price level.
It's the same setup.
100 points
Yeah.
up.
Just almost the exact same. Now, the one thing to point out here is,
And there was a zone there as well too. So that was
Yeah, we had a zone there too, which helped. But
that was almost that's why I took it on the ES, because there was a zone on the ES and it did the same thing. Had a first touch. It was almost a unicorn trade as well.
but one thing I want to point out here on this trade compared to the last trade is, guys, as set up back, because you look at this setup, that crossover of the money line 89 EMA there happened at 10:18 or about 10:17, 10 between 17 and 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's quite a bit longer than the last one. But I just wanted to point that out. That as the other thing that I learned is, I mean, a setup starts, okay, like I can almost list it, right? Like setup starts crossover. Ding. Okay,
where does the setup start then?
Huh?
Say that. Where does the setup
But
start?
that's not a trade. Nothing here is
No. But what I'm saying is the crossover, right, happened. So you're above the 89's above the 200,
Yeah.
which is what you called before. So that's where you start. Okay, it's above. Now we're going to go long. Now we're long, looking longs, right? And then you got that same setup that you had the last time.
Well, and Paul's going to say the same thing I'm about to say. It's a separation between the money line at 89 and the 200 that gives you the confidence that pullback to that line, especially in a zone at around the 77 level, will give you the confidence to take the trade. That's
okay?
Well,
Good.
that's what you're going to say, right?
That's why I put an X around this, right? This is a no trade. Here is your cross. I understand what you're saying. This is your cross. At this point, we say, okay, our general bias is long. Does that mean we push the long button? No, we don't do that. We just now we need something to happen. Okay, I could have probably gone back and looked at this, but I don't have any. Look at your stochastics. You're not really getting overbought. There's no real overbought or oversold going on here. Maybe that little dip there, but it's kind of staying in the middle of this dead zone. This is what chop. But then we get the what? We get the breakout. I remember exactly why we talked about this trade. We came up to this area here, and I don't remember, but I think we had a zone. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
there was a zone there
somewhere.
Yeah.
We came up here. So one of two things happens here. This is either going to bounce and come back down off this previous swing around the 77, or it's going to do what? Break through and keep going. Once it broke through and kept going, now I'm strong on the long. Now I'm looking for the setup. Okay. And like Brian said, we're getting separations on the moving average. We're starting to get real oversold here. And what does it do? Pulls back perfectly to the 77 buy. It's a matter of just reading the chart. It's a matter of looking, and it's one thing you hear Brian and I doing all the time. We're sitting there talking to ourselves. Like I'm literally, everything I just said to you is how I talk it out in my head. I'm thinking, okay, this, that, this, that, this, that. That's a trade. Take it, Paul.
Right.
Well, that's it, though. I mean, and I encourage everybody to do this, and I think, thankfully, Mullet Mania does it, is talk out loud. Talk your trades out loud. I mean, one of the biggest reasons I do this is so I can talk my trades out loud.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, see, like this is the great part about this, guys that are here for the, maybe the first time. Talked about the crossover, right? It didn't, I know I'd heard it probably 100 times from these guys, is what really makes that is the crossover, Brian, and then how much distance there is between the 89 and the 200, right? So and it's repetitive. It's repetitive doing this over and over and over again. That does that, because that's something I totally forgot about. Right?
Paul, were you telling me a trade to take? Paul, did you? I thought you said something about you were looking at the chart.
I'm saying, look, we got a big press down, right? We got a double bottom. So this is an area of interest. So I'm just telling you what I'm thinking here. Okay. I'm looking at I got my 77 level here. I got a zone right here. Okay. I've got previous resistance right here. I mean, support right here, excuse me. But it could come down here. So this is one of those scenarios where I say, okay, we got a nice volatility move. I like when the NQ pushes hard like this, you're probably going to get a bounce here. Well, do I have a limit order waiting here? No. This is a scenario of why, because it could keep going down to here or further. So I'm going to let it come down here, break here, and then once it closes below this, it's either going to keep going or it's going to come back up through. That's where I have this is my next trade right here, long.
There you go.
If that sets up, and if anybody's listening and they want to take it, that's a trade. It's one of those scenarios, but let it break through into the zone and either reject out of the zone, back up through, or keep going, in which case you don't take the trade.
I'm going to do that on MQ if it happens.
And I think that's another key point is you see it breaks through, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
No,
you didn't miss out. I mean, when I first started trading, I was like, shoot, I missed out. I missed out on this, I missed out on that. And you get down and you say, no, that's not true. It's just you see the trade didn't work out. Go to the next trade, because you know what? It's going to set up again, because these patterns are over and over and over again. So you got to stay confident in what you're doing, what you're seeing, right? And feel good that, is keep the levels of your emotions the same, right? A great trade like Brian took on the ES today. Paul, did you take that trade on the ES today? You did too. Oh, you did? You took it on the NQ, right? Those trades.
He cut it too short, though.
Right. You can jump up and down and do the hoorah, I'm great, right? But you got to keep that, I missed that trade, or that trade went against me, whether it stops you out at your 20%, like Paul says, or if you have your limit order and it comes down one tick and then takes off on you and you didn't get that right. You got to have the same emotion, right? Because otherwise you can't, otherwise you're on this roller coaster, right? And this is, trading's one of those things that really affects your emotions, like, your how your life is, right? Well, and so on a screen.
Here's a scenario. Here's a scenario that you're talking about right now.
Right.
It literally came to the 77 and bounced, right?
Yep.
And your first target would be off. You're in a free trade at this point now. But what did I say? I wanted to see it come down here, close below it, and then come back through. But it didn't do that. So I missed the trade. I missed the trade, but I'm okay with missing that trade, because in this market with the bigger, I don't know what the volatility.
That was a perfect trade, wasn't it?
I'm not looking, but that's a perfect trade. Absolutely. Did you take that, Brian? It's a perfect trade. And that was a winning trade. If you had a limit waiting at here, right here, you'd have had it. But for me personally, why do I want to see it? Because look at the 89. It's starting to break. It's starting to come down. We're getting, it's starting to close up here. So this was all kind of telling me, okay, this might keep going down short. So I'm going to be cautious. I'm going to err on the side of caution. I'm going to let it break through and then come back through. If I miss it, well, obviously I did miss it. So
but you're going to get 10 more today.
Oh, we'll get another one. Absolutely. Now, would I take it this time? No, I would not. Not now. If this fails here and comes back down, now I have to start thinking maybe
you're calling that. You're calling that zone burnt at that point, right?
Yeah, I'm starting to think I'm reversing that. Now, here's another interesting little thing. This is valid here now. This is very valid here. But the only thing that scares me is just this. This doesn't scream to me short. Yeah. So, but look, it tapped the 26 and failed. So I say that. But again, another scenario, you might want to let it come back up through and then take it back down if it comes back through. Those are valid. Those are just my setups. I'm not saying that they work all the time, but those are my setups. So I trust them and I take them.
The thing is too is, well, we need to realize that, here we are, it's live, right? They're pointing it out. We're live. It's going, it's happening right now. And this one setup right here that he's showing you, bouncing from 77, coming down through the 50, back down to the 26, you know, that's a whole system. You could make a living off that system.
Well, you got to. Let me ask this: where does the setup start? Where do you start looking for the setup?
Where do I start looking? Where do I start looking for the setup?
Well, let me load the question for you. Do you think about these trades if you don't have the separation between the 89 and the 200?
No.
No.
Like here, right here, this area over here.
Yeah.
No.
So okay, good point. Let's go a little bit further here, Brian. Good point. Let's go a little bit further. Talk to me like I'm 6. Like your setup. What's number one? If you looked at this Paul's, how do I say this? Paul's, rules here. What do I need to see? Number one. What's the first thing I want to see?
Well, let's say they're the rules that we all follow. It's not just
Sure.
Paul's rules; it's just the rules
Okay.
we should follow.
Okay. Well, okay, I get it. I'm still new here, so
Then I follow Paul's rules.
Okay, perfect. So they're Liberty's rules, basically, right?
But it is. I mean,
Right.
the level comes in from 77 to 26 that I never really traded. Paul obviously likes doing that, and it works well. But then you add the rules in from the separation between the 89 and 200, oversold stochastics. You definitely want the momentum pushed down or up to get the short or the long. You add those in, and that's your playbook. And again, maybe Paul can say this is that the confidence in these trades come from doing them over and over and having a statistical basis that says this works 80% of the time if I have all these boxes checked. They're called confluence.
Yeah.
Confluence. To me, it's like, to me though, you gotta have the confluence. I understand that, but as a new trader starting out, say, what's the number one? Like if you throw a puzzle out, you turn all the pieces right side up. Do not trade against momentum. Okay, number one.
If you're new right now,
right,
and you're trying to learn this, the easiest thing you can do is put an 89 EMA and a 200 SMA on there.
Perfect.
And with anytime the 89 is above the 200, you're looking for longs. Anytime this 89 is down here below the 200, you're looking for shorts. That should be your absolute first. You don't do nothing unless that is happening. That'll tell you which way to trade. That's a good way to start. I'm not saying that, as you get more advanced, you can't do counter momentum trades or counter trend trades. All that's is in play.
It's parallel to the 200. The 89 is parallel to the 200.
Correct. And anytime you see this thing flat, where these two lines are like the 89 and 200 are like that, stay out of the market, period.
Right now.
You want to see separation. You want to see divergence. You want to see the wider these things get apart, the stronger the force of that market's going to be. So right now we have a diminishing momentum. We have a stochastics that's basically oversold and hooking down. So am I gung ho? Do I think this thing's going to shoot up 200 points? No. I'm still looking for longs until this thing reverses and gets below there. My preference, my bias is long. Does that mean I'll take every long? I don't know. That's what Brian was saying. Now I have to go back to the other things, the other check boxes that we have to see if it's a valid trade. But my bias right now is still long. And the other thing too, the steeper these two moving averages are, the stronger that momentum is. When these two things are pointing straight north, I'm not shorting. Not doing it.
No.
That's stupid.
Not at all.
So it's like right now you could say, well, the 89 is condensing down. It is, but they're still pretty angled up. The slope is still strong.
Fight every long person on the planet.
Yeah. So if I had to take a trade, what would I want? I want this thing to get above this because today it's playing beautiful between these numbers. I want it to come up here, touch this. Okay. I want it to pull back to where? Here. We got the money line here. This is a good trade. But for me, it's got to reset. It's got to get up above this. Because why? Because I like the pivot here. It's a good chance it might want to push towards the pivot. Good chance. So I'm still thinking long. Still thinking long. Why? I'm in a zone. I'm in a zone. I'm off an 89. I'm out of a zone. I'm off a level. I mean, check, check, check. 3 check boxes. If this could get down here and get oversold and hook, there's checkbox number 4. Now I'm just stacking the game, right? I'm just stacking my confluence here. The more of those I have,
and
better
let me add something up here too for Paul. Is this is a mental checklist, and that's all it is and he's repeated the mental checklist so many times that the finger doesn't touch the mouse
no.
until everything on that checklist. It's like, I think it's probably like you have like a red light going to green, and he knows when it's yellow and he's getting ready to take the trade, and then and then when it turns green, he's in it. The point I'm trying to make is it's muscle memory.
There you go. Look.
Right?
There it goes to the pivot.
Muscle memory, right, Paul?
Yeah, it's complete muscle memory. It's just got, and we say this all the time, right? This is a very serious business. If you're not willing to put in the time to practice this stuff, you need to do this so many times in replay. And I mean, you need to do it over and over and over every single day until you can be like I am, that you can just look at the market and say, check, 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 check. It's turning green, take the trade. If you're struggling seeing it, doesn't mean you don't know what you're doing. It means you haven't done it enough. Trust me, I'm nothing special. I'm not some guru. I struggle. Brian knows I struggled more than anybody. It just took me getting really serious about it.
So it's true. And talk about the evals here, right? It took me getting serious about that to actually take them serious and start passing them. But I have a point to make here with what Paul's saying, and it's just me. But Paul's gotten really good at a certain set of trades. I am really good at a certain set of trades on the ES. But I can tell you one thing, and this is a true story, and the reason I'll never not be around other traders is because I am so set on doing things a certain way, trading wise with the ES, that I miss opportunities on a day like today, because days like today, I do have my weak points. I can't trade. I have a hard time trading a day like today, and I'll tell you what, the next time we have a day like today, I'm switching over to the NQ and the MQ, and I'm taking every trade call that Paul calls. I won't even trade the ES.
I'm the same way with the ES. I listen to what Brian says on the ES because that's not I'm not saying I can't trade the ES, but it's not my market. It's not what I've perfected. I have one trade on the ES that I trade.
The little W and the little M.
The little M, the little W. Other than that, I wait till Brian says, okay, setting up, and I take it. And that's the benefit of obviously having people, other people you're trading with. But here we go. This is a setup. This is a setup. It's look at all your confluence there. You've got it's played out exactly what I said. It came above the 50. It's coming back to the 26. It's bouncing off the money line. It's in a zone. It's off the 26. It's you still got the moving averages. Now the only thing I don't like is the stochastics isn't really getting oversold. But maybe if you're on the fence, if you're like, well, I don't know about this, right? Let it break through, close below it, and come back up through. That's your security, if you want, your insurance.
But now you're going, yeah, or you pass on the trade. But now you're going back to the guy that's.
Well, I'm saying if you're dead set on taking the trade, and
sure, you're dead.
You don't want to have a resting order at 26. Okay, then let it break through. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you have doubt, well, you know what? I'm going to disagree a little bit with that, because here's the deal. The only problem with that is that if you have a methodology, you have a system that you follow, and it's a valid system, not just a pull and pray and click and pray system.
Llama spitting.
Yeah, llama spitting in a screen system. If you have a real system that you're following, you need to trust that system. That means you can't be on the fence. Like if your check boxes are checked off, you need to take every trade, because the reason that a system like this works for me is because I take every trade. Here's another problem I used to have, and Brian, you can confirm this. Is I was a guy that I would have a system, and my system says I need to be long here. Okay, I take this long, and it fails. I lose, and now I'm red. Then it comes down and sets up again, which is my system, and it tells me I need to be long here. But I pass on it this time because I'm scared. And guess what this one does? Shoots way up here. So if I'm going to follow my system, that means I have to take every valid A+ trade that sets up. No questions asked.
Okay, but I got to play devil's advocate here. That that's not an A+ trade.
No, not this one isn't. I'm
Right,
just
right. Okay,
saying,
I get what you're saying, but I'm just trying to. I'm not against you, Paul. I'm just saying that
Hypothetically, if your system says
I was
because
thinking
if your
hypothetically.
system right now, Paul says that's a good trade, and I'm just trying to explain to people, right? Like set it up so they know. But this is the
I
man that's
disagree though.
practiced.
That is a valid trade. This is in my system. If it would have come down here, I would have took that trade. I
Right.
would have had to take that trade because it's in my system.
It's in your system. But what I'm trying to get at is it's in your system from the man that's practiced the kick 10,000 times.
See,
That doesn't have to be your valid trade newer because it doesn't meet all the criteria and you're trying to learn, right? So this is an advanced system because you're parallel with your EMAs, your stochastics is in the middle. All I'm trying to do is for newer people to clarify, to say that Paul felt comfortable he would take this trade.
Okay.
That's his system.
There's the winning
Right.
trade.
My
That's
system,
a winning trade.
Just won.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm trying to prove is it's a valid system. But the thing is everybody, as you build a system, because that's what I struggle with, building a system. And that's what at Liberty Trading Club, that's what we're trying to do is the overall system is what we're learning here. And then each person has their little quirks on how they must want something to set up, right? So that's what the benefit of these is. We're trying to do here with these podcasts with stuff, because we have the overall system, we have the overall strategy, I should say, and then each one of us has our systems, whether it's on the ES or the NQ, built on learning this as we go, right? And so this is the benefit overall of being part of the club and learn them, because I mean, you talk to Lulu, you talk to Jim or D-Nice, any of those, and they have the system, and I've seen really good trades, and D-Nice do really good trades, and she'll go, nope, my stochastic is not where it needs, where I want it. It has to be right here, and I respect that. I'm like, that's some discipline, that's some respect there. So the overall here for this setup is I wanted just to start. The great thing is like you said, the first thing is what's your bias, long, short, overall bias of the day, and then your biases as it goes throughout the day. Everything's always changing, and the system that Paul is using is the system that works for him. It's great. We've proved it here how many times just on this live. But for the new person, you got to pick something and start with it, right? You have to start with it.
Well,
let me update that statement. Pick something and stay with it.
Stay with it.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and one of the and I would, and to add on to that is look, the stuff that we have, all the stuff that we teach, all the stuff that we are constantly preaching about in the room, the entries, the different setups, it's just, you don't have to trade the NQ. I understand the NQ is a monster, right? We all know that it can be rough. It is tameable if once you understand the way it moves, but that might be too much if you're brand new, right? So let's start with the ES or the YM. The beauty of what we preach or what we teach is that methodology can be traded on. I traded on gold, I traded on crude, I traded on Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
Brian asked me not to do it anymore, but I traded on micro Bitcoin. I love it, but it works. And all I'm doing is just taking our basic setups, what? The moving averages, the stochastics, the zones, XXXXX. And I'm just applying it to a market that I can control. So if you're new, find what works for you. Find one entry. Like maybe you just practice an M and a W. Maybe if you're trading the ES, you just try to 9 tick, or one of these other things we teach. Or if it's the NQ, you just try these 26, 77 levels. Whatever.
We're gonna do first touch rules. How about that? That's probably
first touch is great. That's a great place to start, actually. Great place to start, especially after what? After a cross. Look, first touch after a cross. First touch after a cross is what? Very high winning rate probability trade.
Huge, especially when it's in the zone too.
Yeah, and again, the thing is, the way I did it, I can only talk for myself. And I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, but I focused on learning the entry. I didn't care about Nothing else. Period. Just how to get in that trade at the best risk combination possible. And once I determined that once I was good enough to get in trades repeatedly within my risk, knowing where I was. Here's another thing we didn't talk about today. If what do we talk about? Stops always got to go below swings, right? Above or below swings, depending on where we're getting in. If this, let's say I'm trading this M right here, and I'm going to take it here at the midpoint, at the break of the midpoint. If the stop's got to go above this swing, if this is too much of a risk for me, I can't take that trade. I cannot. And that's how I came up with the smaller M's, because these were too, on the ES, they were just too big a risk for me. So I started realizing I could get in on the fourth leg on the break of the HMA, which is another entry.
Well, the prior short is your entry. Is the one you'd take.
Yeah. Right here. You talking about right here?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this is perfect. Look, Paul would have got in this trade, and you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. I would have got in this trade right here.
Exactly.
To the stop right there. So how's this for risk to reward? Right? Because I like it that way.
That's huge information.
Yeah. Right? Now, and I will tell you, in full disclosure, hitting this on the NQ is hard because it's so quick. But on the ES, I could do that all day long on the ES and make money all day long because it's slow enough to get in that right there.
And I would take the bigger M over there because
Brian would have took it right here, and we're both right, and we both won.
But I would have taken the second M as well too, the bigger M to the right.
Exactly.
Why? I would have probably taken it at the midpoint too and been okay with the risk.
Account, and he can take that risk. And to me, that's.
And I'm confident in that setup though. I use that setup a lot.
Right, and he's completely 100% right. That is a valid setup. But you have to ask yourself, okay, it's a valid setup and it did win, but can you handle this? Because even Brian, as good as he is, can be wrong, right? This could have gone back around and got you. Right? But here's another thing.
78% of the time, that big wonky M works.
Yeah, and here's something too. And Brian, I know you say this all the time, but if you take it down here and you get in this trade, obviously the swing goes up here. If this bar closes outside the HMA, get out of the trade.
Yeah, I'll jump out of some that look bad.
Just get out of the trade immediately. Take a small, 1 or 2 tick loss. It's okay. Don't let it come all the way back up here and blow your out, $600, $700, $800 loss.
My rule of thumb is if it doesn't take my targets right away, I start questioning it.
Yeah. Be okay with getting out of a trade. How many people do we know will kill a winning trade, but boy, they'll hang on to that losing trade and that hopium. The hope is going to come around.
No.
Yeah.
I was coaching somebody this week that ended up down $1,000 in one trade before making 300, and I was like, "That's not how it works, buddy."
That's a horrible risk reward there.
That's not how it works.
You were down $1,000 to make up to make 300. You tell me that, I'm gonna yell at you and tell you that's dumb. Yeah. I would have took a $300 loss and been okay with it.
We had a conversation. About it.
It's real. It's real when you don't understand, right? Like, because the market in a way is counterintuitive, right? It really is, because like I said, there's times before, last few weeks I've been with you guys that like, I thought that the last 10 trades, if I'd done just totally the opposite, I'd have been way ahead, right? But that's a learning process.
So here's the thing, and Paul and I talked about this some time ago. Oh, by the way, I need to catch up with you on some things today, Paul. If you got a minute, chat when we get done with this. The thing we talk about is, and I do this in live trainings a lot when I'm live with people, is I talk about we're trained as people you say it's counterintuitive, but it's not really. The markets work in a very structured format, extremely well structured, to the point that when you get a system of rules, a set of rules like Paul has together on the NQ, you should be able to measure it to a certain expectancy. So, like a good system is 80% expectancy, meaning that 80% of the time that rule should work. So you have to take that rule when it sets up every single time it sets up, or else you lower your expected.
It won't be 80% at that point if you don't take it every time. Okay.
Does that make sense? So you're lowering your. So the point I'm trying to make with this is the markets to somebody new like you look very counterintuitive, but when you learn the fact that they're actually very mechanical in nature, then it becomes a point of, well, what part of the market's mechanics do you understand? And
Right.
once you understand, hey, I get this 77 balance when price says this, then you stick with it. That's going to what we agreed on, is that you go to the statement there of this is then do that kick 10,000 times.
Right. No, and that's perfect. That's exactly as, now it's like counterintuitive in the meaning that before I see all those, all those after that big M there that you guys were just talking about that you would take, Brian, you see all those soldiers just marching down, right? Red frickin' candles. This is going to go and it's just going to keep on going. And when it goes and hits that 200, goes under a little bit and starts back up, right? A person a lot of times thinks, oh, it's just going to keep going. It's so fast. It's so hard. It's just going to keep going down. And at first, when you don't understand it, then you put your rules in. No, once it gets down to that point, right? You want to see it kick back up, or you want it to come back and retest and then continue down. So there's where your rules come in, right? And that is right. That's where you have to keep your rules, because if you go just on a whim of what you think it's going to do or what it looks like, is it you're going to lose. It's going to be you just can't pull out of it, right?
We coined a phrase right when Paul started working with Paul. Trade what you see, not what you think.
Yeah, very good.
And you got to get good at your setup, whatever your setup is. And I'll tell you, this has still, for me, Paul's a ninja at the 77 and 26 reversal trades. And I used to say, oh, it's counter, don't take counter trades. And I'm like,
He used to get so mad at me because
it
I
worked so many times
can't say
that I'm
that
like,
counter.
I've said it to Paul 1,000 times. I'm like, oh man, it's a counter trade. Don't do it. Don't say it on air. And then it works. It works every time. I'm like, all right. And so I would. It's good. Part of my, and here, let me tell you guys, this part of my system is going to be added based on today's results from Paul's results today. Is when Paul says to take an NQ trade, I don't hesitate. I take it.
Right.
I'll continue to take my ES trades, but at the end of the day, I'm leaving money on the table by not following Paul's trade calls.
Yeah, it's very similar. I sit and I try to think, like, what is this similar to? It's similar back when I was flying, and you go and you fly VFR, visual flight rules. You basically look at a point and fly, right? Or you fly IFR and it's cloudy, and you gotta trust those instruments. That instrument says that airplane's flat. It might feel like that you're listing left or right, but you have to trust that instrument. The same thing. You got to trust the instrument that we're watching, right?
Yeah.
And follow those rules and say, this is it, and this is the instrument I have to go by. And if you do that, you're going to come out, right? It's going to come out. And
repeat.
Yep.
Don't change. Don't ever change it. Don't change your rule. When you can repeat your rules over and over and over, and I'm going to assume that, Paul, you're probably on, let's just say you're 77 26 trades. What is your win rate on that?
74.
High 70s, mid 70s?
Mid 70s.
Mid 70s? Okay. But that's, I mean, anything over, if you can't make money with over a 70% win rate, you're doing it wrong. You're doing something really, you're taking way too much risk. If you have over 70% win rate and you're not making money, you're risking way too much money. Way too much.
Way over that.
But the point I'm trying to make is, if you can keep, if you do if your rule set says do X, Y, Z, and you do it every single time, and you're above 70% win rate every single time it happens, then why would you ever change that? But if you don't know does that make sense? Like, people try too many different things. They don't realize what simple is right in front of them. I got a member right now that I've been working with who was taking one trade setup and doing really well with it. As a matter of fact, the only trades, it was Paul's small M and W on the ES, and had an 80%, like an 86% win rate for months on end. And then all of a sudden started trading something different, the NQ, and just has been struggling. And I'm like, why? Why did you change? Why? You had something that worked perfectly fine. And
but do you also agree
struggle
with,
that we
though,
deal with as humans, as a human being?
right?
shiny object syndrome.
Right. But you also agree with, like, you log in the morning and you trade and you set, I'm going to make $1,000 on ES, and I'm not saying that that's the right thing, but I need to make my money to survive off the ES. Once you get there, it's not bad to go trade a sim on NQ and learn something new, right? Because one could
Only
be better than others, right? The market today could be better in one and then the other, but only if you have the one down to a science and you make your money.
Well, here's one thing. I mean, Paul and I both are pretty stubborn people.
Mm-hmm. Really? No, I didn't notice.
Yeah, no. But here's what I do know about the ES, and why it's taken me so long to come around to. Paul just got me serious about trading prop accounts. Just about 3 weeks ago. So I've finally done it and got serious about it. And it is nice rotating through accounts. It does take a lot of pressure off. But one thing I do know is I've gotten so good at trading the ES over the years that I know I'm going to make my money on the ES.
Right.
I know it. Like, what did I say this morning? I said I didn't do anything, and I had almost $1,000 trade in that one long that Paul called. I'm like,
Right.
fine, that's it. I'll finish the Friday on that. But that fit in my setups as well. That was the first touch on the ES. It was after the separation. I mean, it was almost a unicorn trade for the ES, and that fits in my rules. There's that type of first touch that comes from a zone or a level is after a big separation like that is the mouthwater trade. I think that's where we start wrapping things up. Is today is if you want to get good at one thing, get good at the first touch rule, especially on the NQ. That's a high win rate trade. I don't know. I think. Yeah,
Yes.
maybe show them a couple, Paul. One more. Let's review that real quick, maybe before we go.
I mean,
and thanks for chiming in, watching the Revenge of the Ticks.
Yes.
I mean, today with the volatility, they were overshooting, but they're working. Look, first touch.
Second touch.
Okay, this you would probably pass on. First touch right there. I mean, that right there, that there, and those three trades right there would probably make you, the average person would probably make that much in one day. I mean,
400 on the NQ, 500?
I mean, what, 4 or 5? What'd you make yesterday in micros? I made $890 something in micros yesterday.
If you add the MES in, how much did I make yesterday?
Yeah.
Almost $1,500
in micros.
Yeah.
In micros. The way I have my ATM set up is in micros. It doesn't seem like much, but I'm anywhere from $60 to $100 per trade is what I'm trying to get. But I'm not risking more than $60. And then in minis, it's $600 to $600 profit. But with the 70% plus win rate, I don't care. Just don't care if I lose, because
the next one's
as long as I don't deviate from that, I'm going to make money, and I do.
Well, that's one thing.
And that's not counting runners, of course. If one happens to run, that's a different story. This is just
that's a different story.
That's just set, right?
So we need to go. That's another
runners.
One.
The icing on the cake.
Yeah, we got to set up podcast ATMs for one, just to kind of get some basics. And then
podcast ATM.
What's that?
You said a podcast ATM.
What's a podcast ATM?
Well, do a podcast on setting up ATM.
Oh, on ATM.
On
bracket orders.
Risk and bracket orders.
Yeah,
right? We need to definitely do that, because it'd be very helpful.
Hey, you're the man that comes up with content.
I am. And then, Paul, keep in the back of your mind before we wrap up here, I'd like to do one on prop firms. So next week, if you have some time,
of course, we can do
let
that.
me know and shoot me a mail, and I'll be mailing you both and figuring out more of a schedule. I love the pop-up ones, but I'd like to get schedules for folks.
Why don't we just do an email between the three of us, and then
so let's go ahead and wrap this up. I hope everybody learned something today. That's the main focus of these.
This is a great coaching session. Great.
Yeah, we love taking the time to do these. We appreciate Coach Paul and Coach Brian. I know that they could go trade on their own and not have to do this for us. So we do appreciate your time. Just know that. And for everybody out there, come check us out, libertytradeclub.com. Get a 7-day free trial. No need to put a credit card or anything in. Get access to everything for 7 days. Talk to us. Have a coaching call with Coach Paul. He'll go over what we do, how we do it, and show you some things, talk to you about stuff. And so that's the first place to start. No obligation to you. So make sure if you want this kind of content more, then check us out. And with that, everybody have a great weekend, I guess. You guys got any big plans for the weekend?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Yeah, I think Georgia fans, right?
We're gonna head to the beach here in a bit.
I'm gonna change my picture and put my bulldog on there. I have an old English bulldog. He's my
Put a mullet on him, though. Put a mullet
Huh?
on him. Gotta
Put
have
a mullet on it. Put a Joe Dirt mullet on the
Joe
bulldog.
Dirt mullet on your bulldog.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you for your time. We'll
All
catch
right.
you guys next time on Revenge of the Ticks. See you later.
All right. Revenge of the Ticks. Thank you. Bye, guys. See y'all.